welcome back to another video. So today I'm doing a requested video and I am going to share all of the coloring pages that I've completed over the last couple months. A lot of you have asked me why I don't do these videos, and that would be because a lot of the time when I get to sit down and color, it is for a tutorial for my channel, and I really haven't had any completed pages unless it is for a color along that I've actually done on my channel. Any other free time that I get, if I'm not filming or editing videos, I try to make that time or set that time aside for family. But over the last couple of months, I've actually had a lot of downtime. I've had the time to sit and just color and really enjoy myself. Even if it's in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, I will sit here and just color. And it's been really, really nice. Now, a lot of these that you're gonna see, I have printed on my own paper. And so I do also have the books to share with you, because I know a lot of us, when we see a completed page that someone has colored and it's turned out so beautiful, we wanna know what book it came from. Anything that you do see me show you in this video, I will have linked down in the description box below so that you can easily find it. I will also have links down there for my Facebook group if you would like to join us there, as well as my email list, my Etsy shop, and my Patreon if you would like to support me there. So this is the first image that I have to share with y'all today. I love how this one turned out. If you have been watching my channel for some time, you probably already saw this one. I do have a video on this one where I shared some of the coloring of this page. I believe it was probably only for the skin and part of the outfit. I think it was also the flower as well. If you would like to see that video, I'll make sure I have it linked in the upper right hand corner. But I did this one when I first received my Holbeins. I wanted to be able to try the Holbeins out on a page where I could color an animal, where I could see how they did with the strokes. Most of you know when you're coloring any animal, you need to be able to make your strokes and use several different colors and layer them one on top of the other. And it usually works best with a pencil that holds a sharper lead. Now the Holbeins didn't really hold that much of a sharper lead. I did have to keep sharpening them to get this fur effect that I was going for, but that's okay. I love the way that it turned out. I think next time I try to color an animal, I'm actually going to try my polychromos because they actually have a harder lead. But I absolutely love this. I did not follow a color palette to color this. I really wanted to color pink hair, and so I wanted to find a really good combination for a really beautiful pink shade of hair, and I loved how that turned out. So then I just started bringing the colors across the page and trying to create balance across the entire page. And then I thought it would be really beautiful if I made the flower in her hair blue, because I thought the flower would really pop and stand out off of her beautiful pink hair. And I made sure that I put the same colors from her dress here, or her shirt, into the center of the flower to bring that color across, and I did the same thing for her eyes. It was by coloring this image when I realized how amazing this soft white Holbein colored pencil is. This is the most amazing white pencil I have ever used. You could see that I used it for a lot of the highlights in her face, and I believe I also used it on the rabbit to add a bunch of highlights as well. And this was done on the tone tan paper. This is the tone tan paper, and I love this paper. It is a thinner paper. It doesn't have a whole lot of tooth. It does have some, but not a whole lot. So this didn't take me having to apply layer upon layer upon layer, and I was still able to get a really nice effect on the bunny. But I love how this one turned out. Here is the next one I completed. This is Fairy with the Little Lizard, and it is from the Fairies 3 book. This is the Fairies 3 book right here, and there are some gorgeous images in this book. I believe that I already did a flip through on this book, but the images in here are absolutely beautiful. It is all grayscale, and now that I think about it, I didn't show you any of the images from the inside of the Wild Soul, but just so you could see how the grayscale is inside this book, where the other image came from. There are absolutely beautiful images in this book, and I love this book. Now, this book here is not the same size as your standard Amazon printed book, and I believe the paper is a little bit different. It feels quite smooth in this book, but I really wanted to print the page on my tone tan paper, so that's what I did. But back to this one, I scanned this one into my computer, and I printed this one on the tone tan paper as well. You're going to see a lot of tone tan paper in this video because I have found that the Holbeins work really, really well on the tone tan paper, and it's almost effortless because the paper is thinner, and like I said, it doesn't have a whole lot of tooth, and so I can lay the color down. These leaves here were a really quick color. It didn't take me hardly any time at all. I think I used maybe 4 or 5 different colors in these leaves, and I love how they look. But the way that this page started, I did not follow a color palette. I just took all of the colors that I used and I spread them out across the page, again trying to create balance. But I pulled the book out, this Fairies 3 book, and I had my grandson, who is 7 years old, flip through the book and tell me which page he wanted me to color. So I let him pick out the page. He picked out this one. And then I asked him, what color hair? Because this image really started as I just wanted to try to color hair that was a little bit different and not so much necessarily like just a regular black or blonde or brown. I didn't want to do something really typical. I wanted something that was creative, and I figured if I asked a child, they would come up with something that was really creative. So let me tell y'all, he really put me to the test because he requested, after he picked out this page, that he wanted me to create red and green hair. And my first reaction was, oh my goodness, she is going to look like a Christmas tree. And so I had to figure out how to make this work. And I think once it was all done, it came together really, really nicely. I love the way that it turned out. But I did have to add a much brighter green in here. I can't remember exactly what colors I used. It is all Holbeins. But after I finished her hair, and I can't even believe that I got these colors to work together the way that they did, I was actually really impressed with myself. It was a real big challenge to get this to work. But I love the way that it looked in the end. I just made sure that I grabbed a very bright greenish yellow so that the hair would still really, really pop. And I just absolutely love it. But just like the other page, what I did is I started with the hair, and then I took the colors in the hair, and I just sort of started moving those colors around the page and bringing them around the page to just create the balance through the entire page. And that's what I've been trying to do with a lot of the pages that I've been doing recently. I used to only follow color palettes and really use color palettes a whole lot. But for these last few, I've tried to do it a little bit differently, and I really love how they have turned out by doing it this way. But as far as the Holbeins go, I am literally obsessed with that pencil set. You could tell by looking at this, I really wanted to be able to give it that pop with the highlights. And there are so many bright, beautiful, vibrant colors in the Holbein set. If you've not seen my review on the Holbein set yet, I'll make sure that I link that in the upper right-hand corner. But in the pastel tray of the 150 set, there are so many beautiful colors in there. You could see that I added, I think it was cream into these leaves, and that's what is giving it that pop of yellow. And then I did the same thing and brought the color over here into her outfit, and I added it up here in this little wreath that is going around her head. I did the same thing in the leaves, but I wanted to make sure that there was just a pop of highlight. I did the same thing in the tree and made sure I got a really light color just to add all those highlights in the tree. And I wanted to make the tree look really, really textured. I don't believe it looked anything like this when I started. Let me try to find the original image. So here is the original image. And then here is my tree. So you could see that I worked really hard on trying to give it all of that extra texture. That definitely was not in the grayscale, but I wanted to make it look like an actual tree and how the tree bark would actually look on the tree. So I think that I accomplished that, and I really, really love it. Again, we have more toned tan paper. I told y'all I absolutely love this paper. And you can see that I went from much more muted colors to coloring something that is just very bright and vibrant and still had all of those highlights and that pop of color. And I really just wanted to color her hair purple. At least that's where I started. I wanted to see if I could come up with a really great color combination to create gorgeous purple hair. But then after I started it and I got down here to the bottom, I decided to add some pink into her hair. So after we get down here, I started adding the pink a little bit towards the center of her braids. And then as I came down further, I made them look even pinker. And I really love how that turned out. It's sort of like an ombre effect. I think that's what you would call that. But this image here came from this book by Deborah Muller. This is Bloom Flower Girl Portraits. This is one of Deborah Muller's most recent books. I think she released one other one after this one, but this is a really nice book. It's just all portraits, and I love the images in here. I really like Deborah Muller's portraits, and I've been coloring her portraits for quite some time. They were the first portraits that I ever started coloring, so I always go back to hers. But I don't think that I have ever actually colored one of her portraits outside of the book. Now, most of this is Holbein's, but for the skin, I decided I wanted to use Prismacolors. So this one is a combination of Prismacolors and Holbein's, but the only part of this that is Prismacolors is her skin. Everything else is Holbein's. And over here, what you see on the flower, where I added all of those white highlights in, this is different from what you probably normally see me color. I did this one a little bit backwards when I colored this flower than what I would normally do. This is how I would normally color a flower, and I love how that turned out. But this one is a little bit different. I sort of did it backwards, and I did the white towards the inner part of it where the other petals were overlapping. But I really love the way that it turned out. I think that it just really gave it that pop, and I used, again, the Holbein soft white to get that effect. And that soft white pencil went right over all of those layers I already had down on that paper. The soft white Holbein pencil, it is absolutely amazing. I used it over here as well on this flower, but I did it backwards on the outer edges. And then down here on the collar of her shirt, I used the soft white all in here as well, and it went right over those other layers without a problem. But as far as the colors on here and how I decided all of the colors, I started out with the hair making it purple. I then added in the pink, and because I had pink down here on the bottom part of her, oh my gosh, I see I forgot here to color one strand of her hair. Oops. I'm gonna have to go back and color in that strand. Have y'all ever done that before? I have done that so much. I will think something is absolutely completed and there will be like one little spot that I forgot to color in. If you've done that before, you'll have to let me know in the comments below. But anyways, I took the pink that I added into her hair and I just brought it up into the flowers here. And then for this flower, I decided to take the colors from here and her hair and put it all in the one flower. So for the leaves, I decided I just wanted to go ahead and make those green. Of course, I got my pop of yellow in there with my highlight color. Again, the Holbeins have the most beautiful highlight colors you could see in the butterfly. This yellow is from the Holbein set, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And after I finished coloring all of that, I actually pulled out my color wheel to see what color I wanted to add to this. And I just wanted a color that was going to be very contrasting from the rest of the page. And so I decided to go with blue, but I wanted more of a teal blue. And that's where the butterfly came in. And so I did the butterfly and the flowers up here and her shirt with all the same colors. So that way, again, I could bring the balance across the entire page. Okay, so speaking of Deborah Muller, I actually just did a video for this one. This was an older one that I colored long ago, and it looked very flat. At least the skin looked very flat. And I've been pulling out a lot of my works in progress, whether they are from now or from a year ago or even 3 years ago. And I think it was maybe 3 years ago, right around 3 years ago, when I originally colored this, and I still hadn't grasped the idea of how to color skin. So I decided to go over the whole thing and change it from how I used to color skin and show in a video where I would add all of the shading and everything, and then of course some of the color on her face to make it look a little bit more realistic. But the paper already had quite a few layers on it. This is the Amazon paper. Had I planned it out previously, I probably would have had a much easier time applying the color, but the paper got to the point where I just could not add any more color. So I did the best that I could with it. I just need to come back up here and I need to finish these flowers, and then this one will be complete, and I plan on doing that next. But the book that this one is in is Adorned Fairy Hair 2. This is one of my favorite books. 3 years ago, I was literally obsessed with this book, and all I ever did was color in this book, one image after the other after the other. I love this book. This is Coleridge Wild by Emmanuel Collin. So I actually have this one in here that I started, and if you saw one of my previous videos, I think it was my video where I was doing flip-throughs of, it was the coloring book flip-through of all the new coloring books I had just received. And if you haven't seen that, I'll go ahead and link that in the upper right-hand corner. But I had showed this one, and I started this one with Holbein's. I'm really wasn't sure about the color combination I used for the flower. I didn't know if I really liked it. Normally I'm not really a purple person, and I don't really use a lot of darker purples in my coloring pages. A lot of us all have the colors that we sort of lean to, and I've been trying to get away from that, and that's why you see that I colored something with a lot of more muted tones in the beginning of the video, and then I switched it out and I went and colored something with much more brighter, vibrant colors. And that was the reason for doing that, because I'm trying to get away from only coloring things with certain colors that I'm sort of drawn to. But then after I colored this one, I really wasn't sure about it. It was with the Holbeins, and I'm not sure if I just didn't care for the way the Holbeins worked on this paper. I mean, they worked fine for the flower, but then when I colored the skin, I was not happy with that at all, and I feel like I really messed it up, so I just sort of stopped. Now, this book is really nice. It does have really thick paper in it. I'll show you how thick the paper is. If you can hear that, the paper is super thick. So the paper is really nice, but I have found that with my Holbeins, I think that since I'm doing a whole lot of coloring and loving the way that it works with the toned tan paper, I really think that I am going to use my Holbeins and color on paper that doesn't have as much tooth. For this book, I absolutely love my Prismacolors. So I decided, let me go ahead and pull out my Prismacolors and see how they do in this book. And of course the Prismacolors were absolutely wonderful, and I actually finished this one the other day. I did this one in one day. I can't remember the last time I actually colored something, sat down and colored something from start to finish in a day. So if you don't already have this book, this is a fantastic book if you want to color portraits and you enjoy coloring flowers. This is a great book. If you want to practice different hair color combinations, this book is absolutely fantastic, because you could sit down and you could just color something fairly quickly. And I did take breaks. I didn't sit down and color the whole thing in one sitting. I started earlier in the day, I took a break, I would color the hair, then I would come back, and then I colored the skin. And coloring in this book made me realize that I had never colored a side portrait. Any portrait that I've ever colored, it's always been facing forward. And so I am so used to skin coloring when the image is facing forward. So I actually went on Google Images and pulled up an image so that I could look at it and see where the highlights would naturally lay on an image that was a side profile. So it was a little bit of a challenge, and maybe that is what happened with the previous page that I just showed you. I really wasn't sure exactly where to add the highlights because it was a side profile on the other one as well. But with this one, it really worked out well. Of course, I did switch the pencils and I went to the Prismacolors and I used the colors that I know work really well. But you can see that on the skin on the other pages that I showed you, on the tone tan paper, I did do the skin with the Holbeins and it looked really good on that specific paper. And I am going to try the Holbeins on other papers that have a little bit less tooth because I really want to test it and see if that's what the case is, that maybe I just enjoy using the Holbeins on paper that is less toothy. But on paper that has a whole lot of tooth, I love using my Prismacolors. And I loved coloring these roses. Y'all, I enjoyed this so much. And then I thought maybe I should do a tutorial on coloring roses. And if you would like to see that, let me know in the comments below because there are double images all throughout this entire book. For those of you that haven't seen this book, I do have a flip through of this book, but the images in this book are really adorable and you could color them fairly quickly. If you check out my last video on my coloring book haul, you will see the whole flip through on this book. But it's really nice because it's spiral bound and it is perforated. So if I wanted to take this out and put it on my wall, I could do so. Or if I wanted to just put it in a binder where I save all my coloring pages, I could do that as well. But if you would like to see a tutorial on coloring roses, I would be happy to do it in this book and show you how I color roses. This next one you all probably have already seen because I should have already released the previous videos, but I just finished doing this leopard and this was a full tutorial on how to color fur. And the fur on a leopard is a little bit different than like what I did on the bunny. The bunny I never filmed and everybody was asking me, is this on video? And I was like, no, I just colored this one all alone by myself. So I figured when I colored this leopard, I better go ahead and pull the camera out. Otherwise I would have a bunch of people upset with me again because I didn't film it. So there is a full tutorial on this one, but this was done with Prismacolors and I was able to do it and make it turn out absolutely beautiful. I love the way that it turned out, but I was still able to get the effects of the fur with my Prismacolors. Y'all know that the Prismacolors are a very soft pencil, so they're a little bit more difficult to be able to do fur with, but I was able to accomplish that with this one. I did have to sharpen them quite a lot because I had to continue to keep that really sharp lead to be able to get all of these strokes in here to create that fur effect. But in the end, I absolutely love it. And I think I actually did pull out my Holbein Soft White again to make these white highlights on the leopard's face. But I was thinking about finishing this one and filming the whole thing. So if you would like to see that, please let me know. And if you have any suggestions for the color of the hair or the color of her clothes, please let me know what you would like to see. I think a hair tutorial would be fantastic, maybe a color I've not done yet. But I know that I already do have a black hair tutorial, but I was thinking that her hair would look amazing if it was black. And like I said earlier, I really had never colored a side-facing portrait, and so this is another one with a side-facing profile, and maybe I can turn that into a tutorial. So if you would like to see that, please let me know, and I would be happy to continue coloring this entire page. It would probably take 3 videos. We would do the skin and then the hair and then her clothing, and that would be the full page and a whole color along that y'all could follow along with. But if you didn't already see my tutorial for the background on this, it was done with stencils and it was done with pan pastels, but you can go back on my channel and you could find that if it's not linked in the upper right hand corner. But this one is also from the Wild Soul book, and this book is absolutely amazing. I love so many of the images in here, and I have plans to color so many more of the images that are in this book. And the paper that I colored this on, I'm pretty sure this is the colored pencil paper by Strathmore, and I will have that linked down in the description box below. But that paper is absolutely amazing. You could add layer after layer after layer, and that's what you really need to be able to do when you're coloring something like an animal, because you could see with this paper all of the texture that it looks like this leopard has, which I really, really love. So the next page that I'm working on, this is actually a work in progress, and this is Worlds Within Worlds by Kirby Rosanes. So it is this one, and I am in the process of coloring this, and I'm absolutely loving it. This one was actually part of a tutorial I just did where I shared my top tips on how to make more detailed coloring pages a lot easier. If you've not already seen that video, you can go back on my channel and check that one out. But if you watched that video, you could see that in the tutorial, I just made this leaf green. Well, after I finished coloring it, this whole page started out actually as I just wanted to color an apple and give it a very fiery red look. And so that's where it started. And after coloring one of the leaves and just having a boring green leaf, I decided let me bring some of the colors in the apple up into the leaves. And so that's what I did. And I started with one leaf, this one here, and I thought it looked really, really great. And so I did the next leaf and I did it again. And I was like, wow, this is really different from anything that I would ever normally do. So I just wanted to be able to continue it across the entire page. And I'll probably, as I start to come down this direction on the page, I'll probably start to come away from the red or add a lot less red as they come around. I don't know, I'm still thinking on it, but I just want this page to look really different from what I usually do. And I'm trying to come up with something over here to do on the rest of the apples because I want them to look very different as well. And I'm thinking of actually bringing some of the green from the leaves into the other apples that are not cracked open to where we could see the core. But this one was all done in Prismacolors, and I'm really enjoying working on this. And I'm probably going to work on this one a little bit more today. And when it's done, I will definitely share it with y'all. And the last one I have to share with y'all is from Mythic World. This is the book that I purchased that I did not purchase when it first came out. Usually with the Kirby books, he releases a book and I purchase it right away. But then I saw a flip through and I was like, oh, that's not really my style. But I decided after seeing several people coloring in the pages in this book and how they turned out, I decided let me give a go at something that I would not normally do. So I decided to pick up the book and purchase it because there was a mermaid in here I really wanted to get started with. But that was not the page that I started with. I decided to color this page, and this is the start. I only just started this yesterday. I started this last night, and I started with the skin, and then I decided to make the dress or her cape or whatever this is a very bright, vibrant red. Very different from what I did where I did the fiery red apple, because I don't have any oranges or any yellows or anything like that in this. I wanted a solid red, but a very dark red that was really going to stand out. I didn't want it to be too bright because I wanted it to really work in with the green skin. And this is my first time ever doing green skin. I did this with Prismacolors. I believe this is the chartreuse yellow along with some other more muted greens or olive greens. And I really love the way that it's turning out so far. My plan for this page is to do the hair in white. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with the necklace. That's probably going to be browns or tans, and I'm probably going to work that in with the color of the skull. But this page has been a little bit more of a challenge. I've already tried over here to do some of the plants or the leaves, and so this is the start of it, but this is probably not done because for me, I just don't have enough definitions. This is only 3 colors, and so I feel like I need another color, but I really want all of the bushes or the plants or whatever these are to really stand out, and that's why I've got the chartreuse yellow in here, but I really want them to stand out and just pop. My plan for this is to actually color all of the trees different colors. So like the ones in the back are going to be a different color from the ones that are more forward, and I'm going to pick some colors, some highlight colors that are really going to give it that huge pop. And then of course I'm going to have to do a background, and I've not yet decided on a background color yet. So we will see what happens. I am looking at this and thinking that black would be an amazing background color, but I really don't know yet. I think I might want to add some grays as well. I may pull out my pan pastels and try to use the pan pastels for the background because I think that would be a lot of fun. Being that I want her hair to be white, I need to put something really dark in the background so that her hair really actually looks white. I probably can grab a Posca or something and really intensify that white, but I want her hair to be a very striking white. So this is what I've been working on for the last couple months, and a lot of it really over the last 4 weeks, because I've had a whole lot of downtime. And so I've really been taking advantage of that. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. And again, if you would like to see me finish coloring this page and make that a complete color along full width tutorials, please let me know. I already have the video for the background and the leopard, and that would take 3 more videos. So if you would like to see that, give me your hair color suggestions down in the comments and let me know that you would like to see that, because I think it would be a really great video to go ahead and do a tutorial coloring skin on a side facing profile. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Everything that you've seen in this video will be in the description box below. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coloring. Bye.